So Deion Sanders has been reportedly linked to the Las Vegas Raiders as a potential future head coaching candidate, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. Now, we all know that Sanders has built Colorado into a Big 12 contender in his second season, going 9-3, with his top two players possibly being the top two picks in next year's draft. Now, the biggest question is, could Deion Sanders possibly leave Colorado for another job, possibly coming to the NFL? Of course, we all know that Coach Prime has been linked to multiple different teams, especially the Dallas Cowboys, who he played for back in his heyday. But according to Jeremy Fowler, he has reported that the Las Vegas Raiders are cited as a potential fit for Coach Prime, stating that people in the NFL are closely watching to see whether if the Raiders will move on from head coach Antonio Pierce after one season. He also goes on to say that the belief among many in the league is that Tom Brady, now a minority owner of the Raiders, will have some level of influence over major decisions, and team owner Mark Davis will covet his knowledge and insight. If Brady is looking for a fellow GOAT, Sanders has an appealing case as the best cornerback in NFL history. The Raiders desperately need to find their next franchise quarterback, and they're on track to get a top 5 pick, which could help them land Colorado star quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Deion and Shedeur would take their father-son partnership to the NFL. Of course, all of this is just speculation at this point. Coach Prime has already stated and made it clear that he intends to stay at Colorado.
Hold on one second. I'm happy where I am, man. I'm good. I got a kickstand down. You know what a kickstand is? A lot of people don't in there, not of age, don't know what a kickstand is. That means I'm resting. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic about where I am. I love it here. I truly do.
But you never know, though. You can say one thing one moment and change your mind in the next moment, because you never know if a more appealing opportunity comes at hand, especially as the Las Vegas head coach. Now, what are my thoughts on this whole situation? I do not want, no. I don't want Deion Sanders over here at all. I feel like he would be an extra distraction for the team right now, especially if we went out and got Shedeur Sanders and made him our franchise quarterback, and then you bring his dad over here to be his head coach. I feel like Shedeur Sanders should just go into the league on his own, let him be his own man, and just go make a name for himself in the NFL, whether it's over here, whether it's with another team. I just don't feel like that father-son duo would do good over here in the NFL. Maybe I'm wrong, but another part of that is I don't feel like the Raiders need to move on from AP just yet. AP is struggling in his first season, a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like the Raiders should give him yet another chance to prove himself and see what we can have in him. And for example, you look at Coach Prime in his second season at Colorado, had a solid, amazing season for that franchise. But his first season with them was horrible. But he was able to bring them together in his second season and just build that culture over there, what they have right now. I mean, they are a contending team in the Big 12. And that's something that we haven't seen in Colorado for quite some time, which, you know what? I applaud Coach Prime for that. But that was in his second season. I feel like we should give AP yet another season and see what he can do in his second season, because you never know if he could change things around with a whole offseason, with a big offseason like the offseason that's coming up. AP has a chance to turn things around. At this point, I just don't want to start over again. And I know that there's going to be other fans out there saying that, Deion Sanders could attract more free agents out there. There might be a lot more players that would want to come over here just to play with him. But honestly, I'm good off that. Now, one former NFL player that stood up for AP recently has been Richard Sherman. He spoke highly of AP and said that, the Raiders are setting him up for failure, and he feels like it would be a wrong move for the Raiders to move on from AP after just one season.
Do you think he is the right fit in Vegas?
I think he's the perfect fit in Vegas. I think they set him up for failure. And if you fire him, it's such BS, because you didn't give him a good enough team to do anything more than what they're doing. They had the Kansas City Chiefs, 11-1, number one record in the AFC, on the ropes. But he's had to do this with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. These aren't necessarily elite quarterbacks. They've done a really serviceable job. They had Devontae for a little while. They traded him away. You let Josh Jacobs go. You knew that this wasn't going to be an attractive job last offseason. So did you just give it to Antonio Pierce so that he could bite the bullet this season just to fire him until it was a more attractive position when you have a high draft pick and you can get a quarterback of the future and you can go move on like that? If they do that, I'd be so pissed off, because that's total BS. You set the man up for failure, expected him to fail, fired him for failing with no chance. I don't think he should be fired.
Now, I do believe that Sherman does make some good points here, and I agree with him on most of those things. But I would kind of just disagree on the fact that, him saying that the Raiders didn't give AP a good enough team to go out there and compete. Now, I know that our team is kind of like all over the place, but, I feel like AP did have a say in a lot of the moves that happened over here, and some of them can be his fault, some of them not his fault. But at the end of the day, he's the head coach of the team, and I feel like a lot of those decisions are made from the head coach and the GM of the team. So I think that goes back and forth. And one main reason why I say this is because you look at the team that we had last year. We really didn't have much, but we were playing because we were playing for AP. A lot of the players love playing for AP. So we had damn near the same team that we had with Josh McDaniels early in the season, and we looked like a much better team. So I felt like we could have won a lot more games this season, but there was just a lot of things that just didn't go our way, especially bringing in Luke Getsy as the offense coordinator, which I feel like should have never happened. We damn near have the same team as last year with some new additions here. I feel like we should have been better, but we made some key decisions that, AP made that should have just went a different way, and we could have had a totally different season. Who knows? One of those big decisions was letting go of Josh Jacobs. Yes, I know that the running back market isn't all there, but Josh Jacobs was an identity of this team, especially in the run game. We've seen how much our run game has struggled with a bad offensive line, but Josh Jacobs in that same offensive line did pretty solid for this team, and that just goes to show how good of a running back he is. On top of that, he was a homegrown talent and a player that wanted to stay over here in Las Vegas, and I felt like a lot of the games that we had that, we weren't getting the job done in the air, we would have done a great job on the ground with Josh Jacobs, or at least had a bell cow running back to help out the offense, at least move the chains. Another move that I felt like really fucked us over for the rest of the season was starting Gardner Minshew. I've stated this before, I'm gonna say it again. I was a fan of Gardner Minshew coming over here. I love the move, signing him over here, because I thought he was going to be a backup for somebody else that we could have brought in. But the fact that they had the quarterback competition, that's totally fine. But I still felt like Aiden O'Connell should have been the starting quarterback to start off the season, only because we built that rapport from last season. AP coached up Aiden O'Connell, and going into his second season, the fact that the Raiders just moved on from him and said that Gardner Minshew was going to be the starting quarterback kind of ruined everything. It ruined it for Gardner Minshew. I mean, his confidence was completely shot. And then also Aiden O'Connell, what do you tell a young rookie quarterback, or a sophomore quarterback, that you're going to sit behind this guy that just came in right now? It says a lot. And then you see what Aiden O'Connell did in his last game, how great he looked out there. Not saying that he would have done the same exact thing at the beginning of the season, but they should have stuck with the players that they were familiar with. Aiden O'Connell should have been the guy leading the charge with whatever weapons that we had over here. I know the whole Devontae Adams thing was back and forth, but I feel like if we started Aiden O'Connell at the beginning of the season, we would have known what we had in him at this point right now. He could have been great. He could have been sorry. Who knows? But I just feel like the Raiders right now is just backpedaling on a lot of things. But I say all of this just to say that I do believe that AP should stay on another year. I agree with Richard Sherman and the points that he made, on most of the points that he made. Give AP yet another chance. This is going to be a big offseason. He can go out there. We got a top draft pick in this year's draft to go out and get a quarterback that he wants. He has a decision to make whether we want to go out and find a new offense coordinator for this team, or possibly just stick with Scott Turner and Norv Turner. I don't think that Tom Telesco is going to go anywhere. I would keep him on only because I feel like he's a great evaluator of talent, especially in the draft. He's helped build teams, especially over there in LA with the Chargers, and I feel like he's done a good job here. I'm one of those guys that wasn't a real big fan of the Brock Bowers selection, but looking at it right now and seeing that this dude got the offensive rookie of the month and has been balling out so far this season, it's a great pick for the Raiders' future and whoever else we bring in over here. So Tom Telesco, you keep him around, you go out, get another offensive coordinator if you need to, get the quarterback that you want, keep Aiden O'Connell over here as a bridge quarterback, as a veteran quarterback. You go out and solidify the offensive line, and then you just add more weapons all over the place. I know that the Raiders are banged up. A lot of people got to remember, this great defense is missing a lot of key pieces. We've had a couple of games without Nate Hobbs. We're missing Malcolm Kuntz. We're missing Christian Wilkins. The defense is just all over the place right now. So if a lot of people can be healthy next season, or maybe we can have more additions to this team offensively and defensively, I feel like the Raiders could turn things around next season. But I do not feel like the Raiders should move on from AP, because I don't want to start all over again from ground zero. So with that said, though, I feel like next season should be a deciding season for AP moving forward, because if he elevates his game and the team just looks much better, then we know we got a good quarterback. He could possibly be our next Dan Campbell. Who knows? But if we start declining even more, then that's when the questions should start popping up whether or not we keep AP or move on from him. But Raider Nation, I do want to ask you guys how you guys feel about this. Do you feel like the Raiders should move on from AP this upcoming offseason and possibly go and get Deion Sanders to bring him over here? Or would you guys just stick with what we have right now and just go out and get the pieces that we need for next season? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy Simone Raider and your boys. Yow.